Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show is brought to you by Walton Restoration, the trusted name in property restoration. She is one of the greatest women's hockey players of all time, Cassie Campbell-Pascall. She is the only person to captain 2 gold medal winners. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show. Coming up! Welcome to the program. Our guest today hails from Brampton, Ontario, now calls Calgary home. She played for the Brampton Candidates, the University of Guelph, the North York Arrows, Calgary Oval Extreme. She was captain of Team Canada, won 6 world championships, 2 Olympic gold medals, the only player to captain 2 gold medal winning teams. She was a host on TSN, CBC, CTV, and Sportsnet, an analyst on CBC, Sportsnet, ESPN, and ABC. She is a member of the Order of Hockey in Canada, a member of the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame, currently special advisor to the PWHL. Welcome, Cassie Campbell-Pascall. Great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, for sure. Now, let's tell about your start in hockey. We like to go right back to the beginning. You grew up in Southern Ontario, but you also spent some time in the States and playing hockey when you could. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I actually started playing hockey in the United States. My dad was transferred there for work, and my brother played, and my parents, of course, did what most parents did back then and put me in figure skating. And there was a girl on my brother's team. Her name was Jennifer Minkus, and she was the reason that was my last argument to my parents. Well, Jennifer plays, so why can't I play? And she was such a great player. And ironically, I just re-met her again recently. She went to Harvard University and played, and now she's helping out a little bit with the New York team as a volunteer. And went to Canada, played for the Brampton Candidates, which was the biggest girls hockey association at the time, and was really fortunate to play girls hockey at such a young age compared to so many other people. So here we are many, many, many years later, and who knew I could have a career in women's hockey.
You mentioned that you had hockey roots with your brother playing as well, but you also have some relationship to Eddie Shack, I understand. You went to Eddie Shack's hockey school. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Eddie Shack actually was married to my mom's cousin. And so that was sort of the connection. And I went to his hockey school. There weren't too many hockey schools that accepted girls back in the day. So, I was fortunate that he did. And I remember it was my friend Steph Slade and I who grew up playing hockey together. And we were the only 2 girls at the camp, but we went back, year after year, and it was a lot of fun. And, definitely I remember the skateboarding, and it was sort of a sport camp. It was above and beyond hockey. And definitely one of the great memories growing up in Brampton and surrounding area as a kid.
So, as you mentioned, you grew up in a time when there weren't a lot of women, a lot of girls playing hockey, women playing hockey. And we had 2 of your former teammates on the program, Sammy Jo Small and Cheryl Pounder, and they talked about some of the challenges that they ran into. Vic, can you roll that for us?
There were a few times throughout my career, I made a boys team, got chased into a dressing room by an angry parent because their son had been cut for me. There were multiple things like that. But on the other side of it, there were multiple wonderful experiences. A lot of people that were very supportive in my life. And I was fortunate to have the opportunity to play with sort of the Angela James of the world and look up to them. Some female mentors who basically said, you can do this.
I had the support of my parents. And I think that gave me the strength to not listen to the naysayers. And yes, as you read in the book, there was a ton of misogynistic comments that were directed in my way. But I always felt like I was representing this greater entity, my gender, so that I could show that girls could play. And in fact, the tougher situation for me, because it wasn't normal, was when I joined the Olympic team and I suddenly wasn't different. That was hard because I had never been in that situation before.
So watching your former teammates, talk about that, does that bring to mind some of the stuff that you went through, or did you use some of the stuff as motivation?
Yeah, I think I think I was really fortunate. My parents shielded me from a lot. My first year playing hockey with the boys, I remember they actually didn't even know I was a girl until the end of the year swimming party, right? And I showed up in a slightly different bathing suit. I had the little bowl cut, and I think at that point, I think I sort of stored the negative comments in the back of my brain. I heard as I walked into arenas, "Oh, girls shouldn't play hockey. Look, I wonder where she's going to play." You hear the snickers, and you heard all those things behind the scenes, but I think I just collectively put those things in the back of my brain, and they were used as motivation. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember hockey not being fun. I don't remember parents being mean to me. Now, they might have said things to my parents, and I think my parents did a really good job of shielding me. But I think I was pretty fortunate that my brother, who was 3 years older, had a girl on his team. So the organization that I played in, it wasn't normal, but it wasn't the first one, first girl to play in the organization. There had been another one, and I think that helped me along the way. And I think my most challenging time was playing at the University of Guelph. I almost quit after my first year to play basketball. I just didn't enjoy my first year. And lo and behold, I made the national team that same season. So really fortunate that I continued to play, to be honest.
So what was it? You were a two-time All-Star at University of Guelph. What was it that happened to you that made you want to almost quit the team?
Yeah, I was recruited to the university, and for whatever reason, it just didn't gel between myself and the coach. And just really felt that me as a younger player, he kind of pitted me against some of the older players, and it just wasn't fun. He kind of took the fun out of the game for me. And
Hmm.
I was lucky that that next summer I trained all summer with the basketball coach and Angela Orton, and just try to get to see if I could make the basketball team. And then lo and behold, Sue Shear became, the coach that next year of the University of Guelph, and she was the captain of the first ever Team Canada in 1990. So I really lucked out because I honestly was not going to play hockey that year, and that was the same year I made my first world championship team. So things happen for a reason, and I think that experience in my first year at University of Guelph just made me a bit of a tougher athlete too, and someone who could handle adversity a little bit better than maybe I could prior to that season.
Right. It's amazing what a difference a coach can make. No doubt about it. So
100%.
okay. What happened how did you get that opportunity to play for Team Canada?
I had tried out for Team Canada in 90 and 92. I was 16 and 18 years old and didn't even make it out of Ontario, the list. I didn't even make the
Yeah.
list. And I think that was a real humbling experience for me because, at that age, I was captain of Team Ontario at the Canada Games. I was one of the better players for sure in the league. And then all of a sudden you get to this main Ontario camp and you realize, maybe you're not so good after all. And so I was cut as a 16-year-old and cut as an 18-year-old, and that kind of changed the way I approached the game and took it a little bit more seriously off the ice as well. And especially at a time where the off ice really wasn't a main component of the game. And then finally, that 94 team, I know Les Lawton, who was the coach of that team. He basically told me, "It's a surprise that you're making this team." And I think I just played some really good hockey, finally made it to the national team camp. Actually showed up a day early to the national team camp by accident. And I guess I was pretty eager. And they let me stay at the hotel, which was great. And just, ended up making the team, played with Natalie Picard during that camp. And, she was a great role model for me. She spoke predominantly French, and I of course, spoke English. And so we couldn't really communicate well, but we found a way to communicate enough. And I have a lot of respect for her and what she's done for the game, and not necessarily a household name. And what she did for me during that camp was pretty special in helping me to make it.
Yeah, it sounds like it was precariously close to making the Canadian team, but then you made the most of your opportunity. Spent 13 years with the Canadian team, definitely leaving your mark. 6 world championships and silver medal, an Olympic silver in 1998, and of course Olympic gold medals in 2002 and 2006. I was going to ask you, why number 77?
Paul Coffey wore both 7 and 77. And when I first made the national team, I wore 7 and then eventually got to switch to 77. He was my favorite player. He was the defenseman that I tried to emulate. And, I love the offensive side of the game as a defenseman, and getting a chance to watch him when he played with Edmonton and so many other teams, actually, Pittsburgh too. But I think Edmonton, that was the late game that we got to watch on Hockey Night in Canada all the time, predominantly. And he was always usually a part of that. And, he was from close to my area. I think he was from Malton. And, I was from Brampton, and it just sort of seemed like a guy that I wanted to play like. So, getting an opportunity to meet him over the years and become friends, that's been a real fun relationship. And, just enjoying, getting an opportunity to watch him now coach in Edmonton. And, that was the guy I wanted to be like as a kid.
Yeah, and you were able to emulate him to a great degree. I mean, you started out as a defender, and because of your offensive skills, like coffee, you ended up playing forward. Talk to us about that transition.
I think that was one of the most proudest things I am of myself over my career, was making that transition from defense to forward, because I'll be honest with you, when the coach first told me, I wasn't happy about it.
Hmm.
I'd been named an all-star defenseman, the top defenseman in the 97 Worlds. And I think, like all of us, struggled in that 98 Olympic year. And we obviously didn't get the outcome that we wanted. And, finding out that next summer, from my club team coach, Ken Dufton, that the national team was thinking about putting me forward. And I'd heard that Tom Rennie had watched me at the Nationals play with Geraldine Heaney. We played forward with a young defenseman as well for the Arrows that year. So as not to disrupt the team too much, our coach wanted to keep the lines together. So he put us forward, and Tom Rennie thought I was a forward, and that's how he ranked me. And I guess he ranked me one of the top forwards, and they were like, "Oh no, she's a defenseman." And he was like, "No, I think she's a forward." And that next year, I remember Danielle Sauvageau telling me she was putting me forward, and I had a few choice words, I'm not going to lie. And I think fear was the first thing that, am I going to make the national team as a forward?
Right.
What's going to happen? And, I was really proud of myself for that. My first tournament, I played with Amanda Benoit and Laurie Dupuis, and led the tournament in scoring at the Four Nations. And, kind of worked my way up. By the 2002 Olympics, which was 3 years away, I was playing on our top line with Wickenheiser and Goyette. And then throughout my career, I just, proved that I could play, first line, fourth line, third line, second line, whatever they wanted me to do. And I think, that's the thing I'm just most proud about is, that transition from defense to forward, and handling everything that kind of came with it behind the scenes too. It was definitely a proud thing in my career to be able to play both positions at the national team.
Yeah, and that's pretty awesome. Another guy who reminds me of that is a kid named Wendell Clark, who played
Yeah.
defense all the way through junior, and then he got to the Maple Leafs, and somebody in the organization says, "No, I think this guy's a forward," and then that worked out okay too.
Yeah, he did pretty good. Him and I talk about that actually from time to time,
Yeah.
and how he was kind of nervous a little bit too, moving into a different position. And of course, he handled it great, and was such a great teammate and great player.
So, okay, prior to the 2002 Olympics, you guys had 8 pre-tournament dates with the U.S. Maybe I think you had 9, and you won the first one, then lost the next 8 in a row. So, after that last one, you were captain of the team. You told your club to look the Americans right in the eye in the handshake line. And what was the motivation for that? Tell us about why you decided that would be a good idea.
Wow, you've done your research. I don't know who told you that story, but yeah, I think that was a real frustrating time for me as captain. You kind of feel responsible for what's going on. We were actually 1-8 when all was said and done, and the one win was the gold medal game in 2002. And the U.S. was by far a better team than us. They'd been centralized for 4 years. They had money pumping into their program. The Olympics, of course, was in the United States. We had no business winning, in my opinion, on paper. And I think that last one, Cheryl, who you had on earlier in the show, I remember she was my roommate after that 8th loss in Vancouver. And for some reason, I just remember talking to her saying, what a story this is going to be. Like, we have no business winning, and we're going to win. And I think after that game, we lost 3-2 in Vancouver, if my memory serves me correct. We outplayed them. We deserved to win. And I remember just bringing the girls in quickly saying, when we shake their hands, we look them in the eye, and we let them know we're not finished here. And I don't know if anyone took me seriously. I definitely looked at everybody in the eye, but, just I just had a feeling we were going to win. We just faced so much adversity that year, and a lot of things could have torn us apart. And, we had some tough times from a hockey standpoint for sure. And, but I believed in this group. I believed what we brought to the table. And I think those of us who lost in 98 still had that pit in our stomach. And I think we needed to continue to grow from that, and to use that to motivate us to turn this around and win the gold when it mattered the most.
Well, it seemed to work pretty well because you guys had a great tournament, including yourself, of course. From the preliminary round, you scored a nice goal in a romp over Sweden. I believe we have that, Vic, somewhere. Uh, so here it is, right here. So you had that romp over Sweden. So now you're playing the U.S. and oh yeah, good eye to hand coordination there. Oh my goodness. So
That's
and then,
good pass from Hefford.
yeah, for
I
sure,
got to
for
be
sure.
honest with you, Joe. That is from the 2000 Women's Worlds. That goal.
Oh, I'm
I played
sorry.
with Jana
Oh,
Hefford. No,
okay.
no, no. It's okay. I played with Jana Hefford. I'm amazed that I actually remember. I played with Jana Hefford that whole tournament, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. So that's how I remember that.
Okay, good, good. Well, I went through researching game by game to see which goals which games you
There
scored
wasn't that
against Sweden.
many,
And
so you had to do a lot of research.
it was okay. You had another role that as captain of that team, which was pretty good. So, okay, the gold medal final against the USA. Now this is in Salt Lake City. You guys took 8 straight penalties. It was just unbelievable. You're on the ice here in the final seconds to tick off the clock. Tell us about this moment right here.
I think for me, that moment, I look at who's on the ice and I see Dana Antel, I see Jennifer Bottrell, and I think those were two of the players that didn't see a lot of penalty kill time during that whole tournament, and we spent a lot of time on the penalty kill, and I think a lot of players like that sort of had to sit a lot throughout that gold medal game because of the penalties that we had, and to go out in that last moment in such a big moment and just perform like they did was incredible. So yeah, it was at a moment where I think our team just really galvanized and came together. And I know there's some teammates that didn't get a lot of ice time in that gold medal game, and they've chosen not to go back to watch it because they want to remember it a certain
Mm.
way. And but they were so important with the way that they handled their role, right? Like they were power plays people, and we didn't get a lot of power plays. We had a lot of penalty kills. So I think at that point, though, we'd faced so much adversity that everyone was willing to do whatever it was going to take. And yeah, it was definitely a real special moment, and probably one of the toughest years of my hockey career. But to end like that, it sort of erases all the adversity and all the emotion that you faced.
I mean, taking 8 straight penalties. I mean, that is so ridiculous. I mean, I remember watching that game and thinking, "Oh my God, how can they do this? This is insane." I mean, clearly, it's totally biased in favor of the Americans, and so for you guys to to stay with it, to stay focused, to get through that adversity, it must have added that much more to that outcome. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think it did. And that I've heard about a lot of TVs that got broken across the country during that final game. When I traveled across the country after that, and I look back and I think of the situation that Stacey Livingston, the referee, was put in. She was an American Olympics on American soil with the American team playing in the final, and probably should have never been put in that position and couldn't have won regardless of what she called or what she
Hmm.
didn't call. And so that was just the thing. I honestly think that the clock at center ice could have fallen down and we would have skated around it and found a way to win. And
Hmm.
just great performances by so many people, and not just on ice performances, but I think off ice too, and leadership performances from people other than the captains and the assistants. I think as a group we had so many great leaders on that team, and the leadership really showed up that day, and I mean leadership from everyone. And we found a way. We just simply found a way. It was incredible.
Okay, we have a clip from an interview you did shortly after that gold medal victory. Let's
The
have a
moment I
listen.
dreamt of since I was a little girl. And just saying thank you. Like, that's all. There was no question. There was no doubt in my mind we were going to win that game.
I'd like to think that there will be a lot of great times ahead and special memories, but I don't think that there will ever be one that will be the same or quite as special as the one that I had this year in Salt Lake.
Yeah, bring back some good memories. Playing with Wick and Goyette, and yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was, I think the best thing was we took a long time after in the dressing room, and then we were like, oh my gosh, our families are waiting for us. And that was really cool to walk in the room of families. And sometimes it wasn't your parents that you saw first, it was other players' parents or families, and you'd hug them just the same. So, that moment of having the gold medal, showing your family, and getting together with all the families, all the players. It's just something you don't forget.
So after that great victory, 2004, you suffered a neck injury that almost ended your career. How bad was it, and how were you able to get back to the ice?
Yeah, essentially, I bruised my spinal cord from C4 to C6, and we don't make enough money when the doctor says spinal cord. You're like, okay, I think I better move on
Yeah.
and do something else. And I actually had one doctor who just said, Cass, you should retire. You're going to have a career in broadcasting. You should just really retire. And I remember Mel Davidson was my coach, and her and I talking, and I said, I'm going to step away from team training and I'm going to go train on my own. And so that's what I did. I went and I left the Oval for probably about a 6-month period of time. And that's where we all trained. And I joined James Gattinger, who I trained with earlier in my career. And I just needed sort of that individual attention to kind of get back on track and strengthen. And, for me, it was about, can I take contact again? And I'll never forget my first game back. We were playing against the boys, and I took a hit, or it wasn't a hit. We just kind of collided. And I remember I got back to the bench, and Mel Davidson was like, "Are you okay? Are you
Yeah,
good?
yeah.
Like everything's good?" I was like, "Yeah, no, everything's good." And it was a good thing. And my first practice back, I asked Colleen Sisorix. I said, "Can you go one-on-one against me? Like every battle drill we do, can you go?" Because she was the toughest and so strong. And I thought, if I can handle Colleen Sisorix, I'll have a chance here. And I don't think I handled her very well, but I knew I got a few cross checks in the back, and she gave it her all, and I needed that just to test to see if I was going to be okay to play again. And was fortunate to move on and to be able to finish off my career in 2006 at the Olympics, but knew that was going to be it for me. And unfortunately, still something I struggle with to this day, my neck injury. But I
Mm.
was just another thing I'm proud of, that didn't take the advice right away and make a decision. Just let's see if I can get back here. Let's see if I can get strong again, and was fortunate to be able to do so.
Well, I guess you have some great memories as a result of stick it out and try again, because you're back in 2006. This time, an unexpected opponent in the final. Were you surprised that you guys were facing Sweden?
Um, not surprised. I mean, I guess it was an upset, obviously, Sweden beating the US, but I think at that time, people forget the game was really 4 countries at that time. I know sometimes now it seems like it's just 2, but, Sweden and Finland were right in the mix, and, Kim Martin was their goaltender to Sweden, so you knew she could upset any team at any time. And I think for us, we played after that. So we were watching in the training room as we were getting ready for our game, and we watched this upset happen. And I remember just talking to a few people like, hey, let's refocus here. Let's make sure everyone's who this has happened to them. This could happen to us. And, um, you know, it was, I think you always want to play the US, but I think for the game, it was really key that we had a different team in the final than just Canada and the US. And Sweden deserved to be there. There's no question about it. So did Finland. And we were just able to beat Finland in the semis. But I think for their country and their game, you wish sort of the trickle effect would have lasted long term. I think Sweden's one of the associations, I guess, that I'm disappointed in as far as girls hockey, women's hockey, in the sense that it didn't carry on after that
Mm.
2006 silver medal win. In fact, maybe 5, 6 years later, their program sort of had a bit of a decline. But it's such a great hockey nation, and I know they're really proud there, and they're starting to play a lot better now, and they've got some great young talent, and I think that's really important. But it was something we had to kind of do a little gut check, like, hey, let's refocus here. This could happen to us. Let's bring our A game, and that was an important lesson for us right before our game.
Yeah, you can't take an opponent lightly after watching them upset the U.S. Thinking, expecting to play the U.S. and then now having to refocus. And it reminds me of like the Leafs last year, thinking, okay, the Florida Panthers upset Boston, and now we're licking our chops, looking forward to taking care of Florida. But Florida was a pretty good team, as it turned out, and Sweden was a pretty good team that you had to obviously take seriously. But you're the only person to captain 2 Olympic gold medal winning teams. I'm looking at your stats in your career: 32 goals, 69 assists, and 158 international games. So you're clearly leading by example here. Did you have any favorite goals in your international career?
Oh boy. I'm trying to think. I think that 2000 Worlds was sort of a big one in the sense of point production. Um, my first goal, I'll never forget my first goal. I was a defenseman at the time, it was against Sweden, and I think it was like the 7-0 goal or whatever. And I remember I celebrated because I was so excited. And Angela James was like, "Hey kid, it's 7-0, just tone it down a little bit." So I always remember that, and that was a good lesson for me. Um, but I scored in the semifinal game in 2002, and we were down 3-2 going into that third period. And I think I don't know, it was 4 or 5 unanswered goals in that third period, and I was able
Mhm.
to get one of those. But for me, honestly, I pass on a breakaway. That was sort of my mentality as a defenseman too, right?
Yeah.
Growing up as a D, and so my job was get in the corners, get the puck to the goal scorers, and I played that role to a T. I loved forechecking. I think being a defenseman, I had an advantage on how to forecheck, and I think I did a pretty good job doing that, and I think that Olympics in particular, I think Wick and Goyette, obviously they do what they do, but it was fun to get them the puck, that's for sure.
Yeah, you were never one to shy away from the physical stuff, and you and Jerome McGinley did a spot for Scotiabank. So let's have a look at that
Can win
clip from
NHL
that.
tickets weekly at scotiahockeyclub.com.
Hey, free tickets.
Oh my gosh. Where are
Okay.
you getting this stuff?
I
Uh,
told you, Paul Pascal is an amazing library. So tell us about that commercial spot with Jerome and what was going on there.
yeah, we filmed that. I've been so fortunate. I've worked for Scotiabank for almost 18 years now. It's an incredible relationship, and they've done so much for women's hockey. Um, And Jerome and I actually ran a hockey school every summer here in Calgary together, the Jerome McGinley Cassie Campbell Hockey School, and all money went to charity. And just a real special person. And I think that commercial was pretty funny in the sense that it was me body checking him and him going flying. And at that point, I think I'm going to say that was probably around 2007, maybe. And the women's game wasn't necessarily taken as serious as it is now. And for him just to be like, yep, let's have fun with this. And, to watch his daughter grow up and be a great hockey player now, and just the support
Right.
that he's had from her is incredible. But, that was real fun. We filmed that commercial in a Scotiabank branch here in Calgary. And, it's nice to see him back with the Flames. My husband works for the Flames too. So every once in a while we'll bump into each other. But, his daughter, you watch out for her. She's going to be a real special player.
Yes, no doubt. So okay, so broadcasting it seemed like a natural progression after you retired. You made history in March of 2020, the first all-female broadcast of an NHL game, along with Leah Hextall and Christine Simpson. Tell us about that moment. What was that like?
Yeah, it was interesting for me. It was a big moment. There's no question about it. But I also understood that I think it was the Flames in Vegas, and it was a big game. And
Mhm.
I kind of wanted to downplay the whole women thing. And I don't know why I felt that way, but I just kind of was like, you know what? Like Christine has been doing this a long time. I've been doing this a long time. Leah's been doing this a long time. I think Leah had the toughest job in the sense that she was becoming the
Mhm.
first play-by-play. But um, I was kind of over it by then. I was like, women do this, and
Mhm.
I maybe had a bad approach to the game, but I just kept telling the producer, like, and we had so many women behind the scenes. That's what was pretty cool too. Our producer was a female as well. But I was like, gosh, this is a big game. Like, can we not just do the game? And I think that's always been my mentality. I've been fortunate to have a few firsts, first whatever. But I'm like, but I belong here, and I'm a hockey player, and I've kind of never wanted it to be a big deal. And I think I had that approach that game, but it, obviously was pretty special. And, Leah at that time, she had just lost her father, I think maybe a year before. So, that was a real special moment for her that she was able to do that. And we talked about her father at the end of the broadcast. And Christine's Christine, she's been doing this a long time, and well deserved to be a part of that. And, it was a special night, but I've always been like, okay, let's go. Like, it's business as usual. Let's move forward. And,
Mhm.
um, and I don't know if that's a good mentality or not, but that's always been my mentality, that I deserve these opportunities. I deserve to be in this chair. And that's how I've approached it.
Right, and all of you, of course, did deserve to be there. It just seemed like a far cry from, going back to what Cheryl and Sammy Joe and yourself were talking about when you, first got into the game and where women's hockey was at and where women's hockey is now, and the fact that you guys are all there. It's a nice that we progressed in that fashion, and we are where we
100%,
are. So your husband
100%.
Brad, former player, executive with Team Canada, and now of course the Flames as well. What's his area of expertise and focus these days?
Well, he's a great dad, first and foremost, and a great
Yeah,
husband,
yeah,
but busy, like, we're both busy living in this hockey world that we live in, and, he's been with the Flames now, this is his 10th season, which is an incredible run when you think about being in that position and being with a Canadian market and an NHL team. Um, so yeah, just, we met through hockey, and here we go, our daughter's playing hockey, and we just kind of go, right? It's like he comes home, I'm gone, he's home. Like and we just have to find time for each other. And most importantly, our daughter is of top priority, and we always find time for her. And she's loving the game. We never really put her in a lot of things as she was growing up, as far as skills and power skating and all that stuff.
right.
And over this last 2 years, she's come to us saying, I want to do that. I want to do this. And she went from level B, which is one of the lowest levels a couple of years ago, to playing at the top level last year and almost playing at the top level this year. She was one of the last cuts. And I'm watching her, though, fall in love with the game all by herself, and asking to go in dryland, asking to go in power skating, and just watching her. She was named captain of her team, and just watching her be a good teammate. And like, I'm loving that part of it. I'm loving watching her as a coach. How do you interact with players? If someone's feeling down, what does she do? And I'm not telling her what to do. She's kind of doing some things on her own. And I just love watching her grow up and playing hockey at the same time, and learning life skills through playing hockey. And of course, she plays other sports and does other things like piano and different things. But I'm excited. I'm excited that she's kind of falling in love with the game all on her own. And it's a big part of our lives. And we were really overcautious of not pushing her or pressuring her to play. And so I think that's what gives us most satisfaction, is that she's kind of found a love of the game, through her friendships and through her coaches, and through the things that she's been able to accomplish over the last couple of years.
Yeah, that motivation has to come from within, doesn't it? I'm sure it did for you and Brad and everybody else as well. I mean, it's one thing having, parents that are involved in hockey, but it's another thing, having parents that push people in hockey when they don't want to really be there. But when that motivation comes from within, that's when great things happen, right?
Yeah, I think so, and I see it. I coached my daughter's team last year and this year, and I see it. I see the pressure that parents are putting on their kids, and I see the amount of things that they put their kids in that are all just for hockey, and I really find it to be too much. And um, it can be a 7 day a week thing. And I think it's really important as parents that we allow our kids to play other sports, let them do other things, and understand that they don't have to be on the ice 7 days a week, and skills. And, they're not in the NHL. They're not playing on the women's national team. They're not playing in the professional women's hockey league. And they never will if they fall out of love of the game. And I think sometimes we push our kids to do a little too much too early, and not just hockey, but I think in all sports and all activities. We sort of specialize too quickly, and we don't let them understand their bodies, their minds. We don't let them understand other sports, other activities. Um, and so we've tried to sort of be anti that. And
Hmm.
now she wants to do it. So, okay, well, we'll look for those things, and we'll try to get the right things for you. And that's important to us, is that she has a bit of balance.
Right. Because eventually they're going to find their way with whatever it is that they do enjoy, right? That's what I've found with our kids, and they find their way with the and they follow their passion, and it works out, right? But they have to have that passion. You can't give them the passion. So
Yeah, and you got to
so
give them choices, right? Give them choices
right.
too.
Yeah, give them
Mhm.
options for sure. Yeah. And I've
Yeah.
heard that from so many former players and current players that, you know, hockey 12 months a year is not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Give them another options. Let them play soccer or baseball in the summer. Let them do a lot of different things. And maybe they want to take an art course or whatever. Just let them do what they want to do and follow their passion. So we had your father-in-law on the show a while back,
Oh, wow.
broadcasting
That's
legend
awesome.
Bernie Pascal. And he was very proud of your contributions to the game. Let's listen to that, Vic.
And I think just her leadership, and she's involved in so many activities, Ronald McDonald House and the Scotia Hockey Fest for girls, so many programs, and her involvement with Hockey Canada will be a real positive. And I know she takes a lot of pride in supporting hockey in Canada, and I think it'll be a significant a result having Cassie and that whole committee involved and taking a whole new approach and focusing on strengthening and improving hockey, women and men in Canada.
First of all, I think Bernie would make a great grandpa, I'm thinking.
Oh my gosh, they have helped us so much, and they're so close to our daughter, and we are so thankful for them. They are amazing, him and Judy.
And Hockey Canada, are you still involved in Hockey Canada? Because I know you got a new gig.
Yeah, no, I did the transition board. We had an 11-month mandate, and Joe, it was a lot. We had a lot to accomplish in just 11 months, and I remember trying to make that decision whether I should put my name forward or not, and I thought, you know what, I was mad. I was so mad at everything, and of course, you read Twitter, and half of it's not even true, and half of it's true, and whatever. But I thought I can be mad and not do anything, or I can be mad and try to be part of the solution. And it was probably the busiest year of my life. It was a volunteer position, but we dug in deep and we dissected everything and we created change. And it was an incredible, incredible group of people. I wish we did have more time, but through the Cromwell report, we were only given 11 months. And I thought about staying on. With that position, you can't really join any other teams or associations. And I really potentially wanted to be, whether it was an NHL organization with some opportunities I had, or to join the PWHL. And I was sort of debating what I wanted to do in the broadcasting side of things at that time as well. So, I just wanted to do other things. And I really felt proud that I stood up in those 11 months to create change. Do we need more change? Yes. But I think I'm really proud with the leader that we've chosen in Kathy Henderson. And I was part of that committee that chose our new CEO. And I think that was really important to get new leadership and new blood in there. And I'm just proud of our group led by Hugh Fraser. I have friendships for life and teammates for life now as being part of that Hockey Canada board. But I will tell you, it was a lot. And it was a full-time commitment, and we dug in and we tried to create as much change as we could and learn a lot. And we, I think, as an organization, and I say we, meaning Hockey Canada, I think that we need to do a better job. There's no question about it. Our members need to do a better job. We need to start working more collectively together. And we need to make sure that it's a safe environment for everyone, whether you're participating in it or you're a fan. We as hockey people just need to continue to push to make sure it's a safe space. And but I'm proud that I sat on that board, and it wasn't an easy decision to do it, but I'm glad that I was a small part of the solution of creating change, and I'm proud of that group for sure.
Awesome. And I'm just seeing what the results are clear, and nothing's being swept under the carpet anymore. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot that is out there isn't necessarily true, but I do think we needed change. There's no question in my mind that I was surprised actually that it had gotten maybe as stale as it had. And I hope I'm using that word okay. Like, we just needed change. We needed a freshness. We needed new eyes. We needed to understand how we were making decisions in the past and why we were making those decisions. And I just hope that due process takes its course. And I hope that our new leadership, which I believe in Kathy, creates a change that's going to be really good for our entire country. And I think we're moving in the right direction, and everyone wants it to move faster. Of course, so do I, but I think we've created a path that at least we can move in a direction that's a lot more positive.
Okay, let's talk about the PWHL. Well, first of all, you were quite prophetic. Okay, this is you reporting from the All-Star game in St. Louis 4 years ago, talking about what ifs.
Oh, no.
What if we were able to fill practice facilities, and what if we were able to fill NHL stadiums, and what if we had a game where we could have 6 NHL franchises supporting a women's hockey team, and what if we had the infrastructure and the marketing structure of the NHL behind us, and what if these girls had their own dressing room that they could keep their equipment in, and their expenses didn't exceed their salaries.
So here we are, the PWHL.
I wish I was
What
that young
separates-
again. What happened? What's going on?
That wasn't that long ago. You look pretty good still, I'm telling you. So you're very prophetic, obviously, in that clip. And what separates the PWHL from previous incarnations?
Well, I think it's one league, right? Where we're all working together, which I think has really hurt women's hockey in the past, where we've chosen for whatever reason not to work together. I think the fact that we have all the best players that have played in a variety of leagues together, whether it's over in Europe, whether it's the PHF, whether it's the Canadian Women's Hockey League, whether it's the National Women's Hockey League, all those leagues are represented in this PWHL from players who've played in those leagues. And I think having a CBA, the players fought for that. So, when we watch the league fold and we watch contracts go away, I think that's one thing that the players, they wanted to make sure that the players were safe and they were going to be protected from a business standpoint. And listen, we're not out of the woods yet, but I think having a staff of almost 120 people and having a infrastructure that at least can help sell tickets. We have our games on 3 major networks across this country, and then also major networks across the United States, which we've never had before, and weekly games, not just one-off here and there at the end of the season. I can't commend these current players enough for, just what they did and how they pushed the game and how they literally sacrificed playing in a league to help push the game. And, that was a tough task and a long task, almost 4 years. And, now they're reaping the benefits of that. And I think they're really proud of what they've been able to do. I know they're having so much fun, being a professional hockey player for really the first time. And it's not just the national team players. The national team players have been professional hockey players for a long time because they're paid through their associations and their Olympic associations. But the club players, the Erica Howes and the Jess Jones and the list that goes on and on and on of players who played as professional as they could play and also had real jobs. And it was, that's what I think this whole movement has been for. And, I'm just so glad that we finally have a group of people that are all working together. It's been a long time coming. It's been a frustrating process. It's tested all of our patience at times, but I think we're better for it. I think we're better for every league that came before us. And I think that working together and being part of this team, I've really noticed that the staff, it's like whatever it takes mentality. How can I make this better? What do you need me to do? I'll fill water bottles. I'll do whatever. And I think that's the mentality that we've always needed. One league where the best players are playing under that umbrella and an infrastructure that allows us to be sustainable. So we're just in our first year. We have a long way to go, but I think we're off to a terrific start.
Collectively working together for the greater good. It's pretty awesome. Okay, this is the scene opening night. You guys opened with a bang. Here we go. Billie Jean King, Jana Hefford with a ceremonial face-off. What were your thoughts when you saw this unfolding?
For me, it was emotional. The whole, the introduction of the players, you could see the emotion on their face, which made me emotional. I think obviously what Billie Jean King and Lana Klaus have done and the Mark Walters group, we can't say enough about them for stepping up and making a difference, a huge difference. And I know my teammate, Jana Hefford, she led the Canadian Women's Hockey League, and then she led the PWHLPA. And there were some really tough times and times where I know she questioned, like, what is our mission and are we going to get there? And she stuck with it. And with the help of some of the current players, like Kendall Coyne and Brianne Jenner and Hillary Knight and Sarah Nurse and the ones that were really behind the scenes pushing and pushing and pushing. One thing that stuck out to me during that opening face-off was the emotion that Jana shared. She's got lots of emotion, don't get me wrong, but she's pretty good at not showing it. She's pretty stable. And you could see the emotion. And this was a big moment. And she deserved to be there alongside Billie Jean King, dropping that puck. And those players deserve the crowd. They deserve the moment. And they got it. And every home opener was tremendous to watch. You know, the introductions of the players and the crowds. It's been incredible to me to watch and sort of pinch me moments, right? Where you're like, is this for real? Am I in a dream? Am I going to wake up and this is all going to go away? But this is what we believed always could happen. Everyone who's ever played the game, been a part of the game, this is what we always thought could happen. And for whatever reason, it just took this long to get there. But we're here and we want to make sure it continues to be sustainable. We want to stay humble and we're off to a really good start. But there's a long way to go to make sure that we're going to not go away, you know, and I think that's really important.
Yep, the record, the Toronto game, the opening night record, then the Minnesota tennis record, 13,000, and now there's going to be a thing. Is it Montreal, Toronto? No, Montreal, no, New York, Toronto
Yeah,
is going to
Montreal,
play.
Toronto, February 16th at Scotiabank Arena. So yeah,
Right, right,
yeah,
and that'll be a new record. It'll be packed house,
yeah.
and all the games are
Let's hope.
sellouts. It's
Let's hope.
fantastic. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure it will be. For sure. So, what's your role as PWHL special advisor?
You know, I've kind of dabbled in all sides of it. I'm on the player safety committee, which is really important to me. Um, I help on the business side of things, some sponsor connections, those types of things where I can. I'm part of the hockey ops meetings every week, and I'm actually helping the broadcast side too. You know, we're just about to shoot some features and tell stories of some of the players, and I don't work for Canadian Network anymore, so they can use me to interview the players, and then it'll play on Sportsnet, TSN, or CBC, and whatever's needed. To be honest with you, Joe, like you know, I make connections. I help get things like if we need legal things, you know, just I help wherever I can. And I think for me it's been really fun because I've kind of spoken to every department on how I can help and where they need me. And now we're just sort of fulfilling those commitments and I've enjoyed it. I feel like um when I left Sportsnet, it was like the weight of the world came off my shoulders, and it was like the best decision I had ever made. And to join this league, and I'm having so much fun. This is where obviously my passion is, and I still, you know, I get that sort of NHL thing. I was covering the men's game for almost 20 years, and still working for ESPN. But this is where my passion is. I've always been a supporter of the women's game, obviously, and but now to have a small role in it, a part-time role. I love just learning on the business side. I love learning on the hockey ops side. And again, whatever Jana needs me to do, you know, she's like, can you meet with this person? Can you do this? Do you know this person? Can you get us a contact? Can you? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. I'm on it, you know, and, you know, just having fun. I get to pick the 3 stars. I'm one of 5 people that get to pick the 3 stars every week. And, you know, just little things like that, whatever it takes and wherever you need me to help this make successful and help it to grow, you know, I'm all over it.
You're a free agent, broadcasting free agent. You can do interviews for the works, and that's great. Yeah, yeah. So,
I guess,
uh,
yeah, I guess.
yeah, yeah. So the PWHL's involvement in the All-Star festivities, what's going to happen?
Yeah, so we're gonna have a 3-on-3 Canadian Tire showcase, and so I'm coach of Team King, and Megan Duggan is the coach of Team Kloss, and you know, we're just gonna have some fun with it. But you know, these women are gonna take it seriously. It's a showcase. It's a showcase of our game, and you know, they want to show off their talent, and rightfully so. And yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm heading to Toronto actually today, this afternoon after this, and you know, we have festivities all week. We have an outdoor practice at Nathan Phillips Square. You know, I'm going to be doing a bunch of different events and different things, and we're shooting some great features for the PWHL while I'm there this week. So it's going to be a real busy week, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
You've been inducted into the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame, the Ontario Sports Hall of Fame, the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame, but not the Hockey Hall of Fame, which I'm a little surprised at. However, this doesn't happen to just anybody. They're very proud of you in Brampton, and in 2007 they opened Cassie Campbell Community Center, a beautiful spot. What's it like having a facility named after you, and a very nice one, I might.
Yeah, you know, it was an area of Brampton that really needed this, and so that's first and foremost. I think they needed a community center. They needed a place where kids could go that was safe. I know at one point they had a police station in there as well. And, it's kind of humbling for me. I rent a car at the Toronto airport and I give the woman my license and she's like, "Are you like the Cassie Campbell, like the Cassie Campbell Community Center, Cassie Campbell?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, I thought you'd be old and dead or something, like they thought it'd be some old person that they honored." And then I'll go back from time to time and I'll go to the gym and I go to pay my $10 and then I go in the gym and then of course the manager comes and she's like, "You paid, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, of course I paid. Like everyone pays, I'll pay." It's really humbling. The whole when they opened it, Wayne Gretzky was there and Steve Yzerman and my teammates and, Elliot Friedman and so many people showed up. I was blown away by it actually. And Susan Fennell, who was the mayor at that time, she gave me this honor and I thank her for that. And I know now she has a building in Brampton as well. And, I'm proud of where I grew up. I spent most of my life in Brampton, Ontario, and it's changed a lot since I grew up there. It was about 45,000 people. I think it's well over 1 million now, but it's still a place that I call home. It's still a place I go back to. It's still a community that is a big part of my life. So it was a tremendous honor to have this happen, and a little humbling and surreal, and it was just a real special day.
Yeah, and that Hockey Hall of Fame induction, I think, is just an oversight, and it's got to be happening soon. Do you ever think about that?
I'm on the selection committee, so I really
I vote for
enjoyed
me.
Joe. Yeah, oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying that. I'm enjoying those meetings and pushing for other women to get in. And I obviously can't really talk much about the process, but if I get in one day, great. But honestly, like it's not something I ever grew up thinking was ever a possibility. So I think for me, I always have to correct people because people will introduce me. They'll say, "Oh, Hockey Hall of Famer." I'm like, "No, no, 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 I'm not." But I'm on the selection committee, and it's been fun seeing so many women get in, and there's a need for many more to get in too. And I've enjoyed the process and the detail of the process, and sitting in that room with that group of people. It is pretty impressive group of hockey people, and just to be part of it. And now Cami Granado is on it as well, so we have 2 women on the committee, and um, I really I enjoy the whole process of it, and it's a lot of fun to have the debate.
Right. And so we'll send you the Nominate Cassie t-shirts, and you can wear them at the next
Can you imagine I show
Hockey
up
Hall of
and I've
Fame.
got "What about me" t-shirt on? Yeah, that's not gonna happen, trust me. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the question that we like to ask all our guests is, what's the best advice you've ever received?
I'm sitting in my office right now, and I have 3 pictures hanging up just across the way here, and, one picture is of myself and this little girl, and her name is Madison Herlihy, and she passed away of cancer, and I met her through the Ronald McDonald House, and, just such a lovely girl, and I got to know the family too, and anyway, um and then I have a picture of my daughter, and she's in grade 1, and she's trying to get across the monkey bars, and I remember every day after school, she'd be like, "Man, I can't do it," and she'd have, like, blisters, and
Mm.
she's like, "Mom, I can't do this. I've tried so hard." I'm like, "You keep going, keep going." Every day I'd go pick her up after school, and there she was, like, on the monkey bars, and sure enough, I got a picture of her when she made it across, and that's the picture. And then I have a saying, and I'm gonna read it, that's why I'm looking away. It's, "If you don't wanna be criticized, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing." And that's kind of like my mantra because I think with everything in particular in women's hockey, when you're growing up and you're like, "Oh, girls shouldn't," you hear this, "Oh, girls shouldn't play hockey," or when I was in broadcasting, just different things, you take that criticism. Of course, hockey in this country, all of us broadcasters take criticism, it kinda comes with the territory, but,
Mhm.
um then say nothing, do nothing, be nothing, and to me that's just not an option. So yeah, I just take everything with a grain of salt, but those are the 3 things that are sort of things I'll look at from time to time that just remind me of where I'm from, who I am, and how grounded I like to be.
Yeah, we have to develop, we have to grow a thick skin when it comes to that criticism, and because it's going to happen. And so, if you put yourself out there, like you said, you're going to be open to criticism. And a couple of things I always think about is one, consider the source of the criticism, first of all.
100%.
And two, if it's valuable criticism, I can learn from it and make myself better. But three,
Yeah.
I have to be able to handle it no matter what, right? And it's those are the things. Those are great, super advice. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, I mean it's been a great run in this hockey thing and continue to go and I love quotes. I love different motivational things. I love reading books about other people. I love telling other people's stories. I love learning about other people's stories, and I think that's how we make ourselves better is by learning about other people and their differences and what makes them tick. And um, you know, I always try to take a little piece of those things that I'm reading or learning about, or those conversations I get to have with other people, and think, how can I incorporate that in my life? And maybe I don't like that part, but I like this part, and just enjoy that interaction with people. I think is really, really important too.
Yes, thank you. And I need the address for those T-shirts.
Oh,
So,
well, here's my home address. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, it won't
listen,
happen. I'll
Cassie.
never wear a T-shirt
Yeah,
like that. But
yeah,
man, can you
I
imagine? It'd
understand.
be
Yeah.
pretty funny if I did.
Well, maybe we can wear them for you. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway, thank you for doing this, Cassie. Thank you for taking the time to join us, and continued success with the PWHL. Really like what we see so far. Thank you.
yeah. Thanks, Joe, for having me on, and great to see you. Great to see you.
Good to see you too. All right, more sports when we come back. Thank you.
Rely on Walton Restoration's 40-plus years of excellence in residential and commercial restoration. Their strong reputation is built on workmanship, professionalism, and outstanding customer service. Trust Walton as your dependable partner in emergencies, serving Durham, Kawartha, and Northumberland regions. Call 905-725-5666 or visit waltonrestoration.com. Experience top-tier workmanship and service. Walton Restoration, the trusted name in property restoration. Join satisfied customers like me.
When you're injured in an accident, you may be entitled to multiple benefits. Entitlement to these benefits are based on your insurance policy. On a basic policy, you will have eligibility for income replacement benefit, non-earner benefit, attendant care, and medical rehabilitation benefits. It is very important to have a detailed discussion with your insurance broker or agent when obtaining a new policy or renewing your existing policy. Call us now for a comprehensive review of your claim and your policy limits. You do not pay us until we settle your case.
Call Nathan today at 416-289-1236 or visit alliedlegal.ca.
Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca.
MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business accounting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the need of their clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to do business and personal strategies to help people and organizations to succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, their team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca today to learn more. And we want to thank all the folks who make the show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great people. We highly recommend them all. Thank you for your support of Canadian sports. A reminder that the show is available on iTunes, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Google Podcast, Pocket Cast, as well as the Spanglish Network, Buzz TV Live, and Zingo TV. Also, check out the show on YouTube. All of our past great shows are there, some clips, some shorts. Like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. Thanks once again to Cassie Campbell-Pascall for being in the program. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in the early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today. Let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. Rooted in 60 years of tradition, Sleepy Hollow is a private golf club with a friendly community of members just minutes from Toronto. With mature trees and rolling fairways, Sleepy Hollow provides a challenging and enjoyable experience for passionate golfers. Enjoy great golf, amazing dining, and a picturesque patio second to none. Visit SleepyHollowCountryClub.com. Hi there, I'm Joe Tilley. Are you ready for an adventure of a lifetime? Next March, during the enchanting cherry blossom season, join me and my wife for an unforgettable 2-week journey to Japan and South Korea. In Japan, you'll experience the magic of the season as we visit the stunning Osaka Castle against the backdrop of cherry blossoms. Feed the adorable Sika deer at Nara Park, glide through picturesque landscapes on the famed bullet train, cruise on Lake Kawaguchi, and witness the awe-inspiring view of Mount Fuji. Relax in natural hot springs and savor a delightful Fuji dinner banquet while dressing in traditional robes. And of course, we'll dive into Tokyo's cutting-edge technology scene. In Korea, dress in elegant hanbok attire and step back in time at Cheongdokgung Palace. Wander through Andong Village, a true glimpse into Korea's rich heritage. Delight your taste buds with the flavors of Korean barbecue. We'll even visit the DMZ area to get a glimpse of mysterious North Korea. And guess what? This incredible journey is all yours for just $54.99, all-inclusive, with direct flights from Vancouver, or $58.99 from Toronto. Book now to unlock up to an extra $1,700 in upgrades and savings. Let's make some memories. Let's explore. Let's travel. Guests on Joe Tilley Sports receive a gift certificate from Classica Imports. Top of the line imported men's clothing. Check out the Classica Essential Collection now. Go to shopclassica.com.